Hey guys, today we're taking a look at my Ghostrick deck. Now Ghostricks are a really interesting archetype. They're all kind of based on flipping themselves up and down to activate effects and protect themselves and do some really interesting things with direct attacking and annoying your opponent. There's a lot of different things you could do with this deck, so these are the cards I chose, but again, like a lot of different stuff, so we'll see, what people can come up with. So first off, Ghostrick Stein, you really want to run this at 3 with 1600 attack, very, very powerful with how the Ghostricks work, and also his ability to get a Ghostrick spell or trap is very good, because the Ghostrick spells and traps are very, very important. And then we have a Ghostrick Jiangshi, so really, really good with 1800 defense. A lot of the Ghostricks don't have good defense at all, so this one has 1800, and kind of allows you to search out depending on the Ghostricks you have in the field, which is really nice. And then Ghostrick Jackfrost. So interesting one, you can use this card when your opponent's direct attacking you, and you can make their monster go face down. So really nice to defend yourself when your field gets kind of wiped, and then setting your opponent up for what you need to do. And then Ghostrick Specter, kind of similarly, when a Ghostrick monster is destroyed, you can basically special summon this card, which is very good, and also he gives you draw power when he does that. And then Ghostrick Yuki-Onna. So this is a really interesting one. So when it's destroyed by battle, you can make their opponent go to face down defense position, but they also can't change it, which is really, really nice and annoying for your opponent to deal with. And then we have Ghostrick Lantern, kind of like those other ones. When your opponent does a direct attack, or when they attack a Ghostrick monster, you can negate it and special summon this card. So it's kind of similar to Jackfrost, and Specter, but kind of a little different in how it works, because you can negate attacks on a Ghostrick monster. And then Ghostrick Mary, so this one can be useful, so when you take damage you can basically use this to search out a Ghostrick monster and special summon it. Very, very useful for getting the Ghostrick monster you want. And then Ghostrick Mummy, another one of the stronger Ghostrick monsters. This one really enables you to start swarming a little bit when you get your field presence up, which is really nice for doing some big direct damage and also setting up for XYZs. That's one interesting thing I'm going to talk about later on, is kind of how, even though Ghostricks focus on kind of direct attacking and flipping, they also have access to XYZs that can do some really interesting stuff. And the final monster the final Ghostrick monster is Ghostrick Witch. Just a really nice card that can be very, very useful, flipping your opponent's monsters to annoy the hell out of them. And then Cardcar D, just one of those in here for some draw power. And then we have Ghostrick Mansion, so the field card. There's 2 field cards, and I'll talk about the second one, but most Ghostricks tend to run this one just because it's pretty much guaranteed that a lot of direct damage is going to come on the field no matter what's going on with this deck. So being able to make your opponent's damage be cut in half is very, very powerful. And also the big thing about this is that if you don't know how the field cards work, basically all your defense position monsters get protected, but your opponent can direct attack you. So using this, you keep your monsters protected, and you can keep direct attacking and not really worry too much. And because of that half damage thing, you're able to kind of outlive your opponent and do a lot of damage to them. And then we have 3 Swords of Concealing Light. So a very, very powerful card in this deck, just locking your opponent down by putting them in defense position and keeping them there. So that allows you to do direct attacks with your Ghostricks and really, really annoy your opponent. So running 3 of these because of how powerful it is in this deck. Book of Life is another interesting choice for this deck. You have like kind of half of your cards are kind of zombies, half of your monster cards. So you'll be able to use this to get back some of your very useful Ghostrick monsters. And then we have MST, Dark Hole. Dark Hole's a choice in this deck because you might lose some field presence, but I like to have this as kind of a last resort. And then Pot of Duality and Allure of Darkness for some draw power. All the Ghostricks are dark, so that works out nicely. For the traps, we're going to have 3 Ghostrick Scares. Very, very useful card in this deck, allowing you to change your monsters to defense, or not change your monsters to defense, but changing your opponent's monsters to defense and bringing your monsters face up. So really, really nice combination, allowing you to do a couple different things. Needle Sealing, really interesting in this deck. Because of how the field card works, you're going to have a lot of field presence, so this card works really, really well, wiping your opponent's field out. And then some staple traps, Mirror Force, Solemn Warning, Bottomless Trap Hole. We also have 1 Ghostrick Vanish, which allows you to protect your Ghostrick monsters, kind of like a trap stun in this deck, which is very useful. So now for the extra deck. As far as the extra deck goes, you're going to pretty much want whatever 1, 2, and 3 star XYZs you want, and then a few specific ones on top of that. So you usually want 2 Dullahans, or 1 Dullahan, up to you. I have 2 in this deck. Very nice card. He gets a lot of power from the other Ghostricks, and then he can cut your opponent's monster's attack in half. So this is a really nice alternative if you get your 1-star Ghostricks out and you need to bring out something that's a little stronger. And then some of the other 1-star, some of the other more generic XYZs. I'm using Utopia Roots, which is a new one in Legacy of Leviathan, just to counter XYZ card, really interesting. Slacker Magician, very good for stalling in this deck. Gachi, Shining Elf, Herald. We also have Mechquipped Anginer, which can be useful just in a Ghostrick deck because of how its effect works. And then the other, normal 3-star Zenmaines, Leviathan, Leviair, Giga-Brilliant can be useful. And then Alucard, it's kind of like Ghostrick's boss monster. It can just destroy set cards, which is so useful in this deck, especially because you'll end up destroying monsters a lot of the time with how the other cards in this deck work. And then he can search out. So just a really, really useful card overall, and in kind of an alternative when you don't have your field card or you're just, doing different things. So now for the side deck. Again, side decks in my videos are just recommended cards that can also work with the deck. It isn't necessarily a side deck for matches. So Ghostrick Ghoul can be an interesting one, just allowing you to do some interesting damage. There are some other Ghostricks that can work with the deck as well, but I'm not running them in this deck. So you guys might want to look through them and see if they kind of fit into the decks that you're gonna make. But Skeleton's another interesting one. Just not the one I wanted to run, but interesting overall. Swarm of Scarabs, a really interesting card in this deck, giving you access to some monster destruction. Dark Arm Dragon, these guys are all dark, so that's an alternative and a very powerful monster, obviously. Zombie Master, just because you can run like a zombie engine in this deck and combine it with the Ghostricks, and it's just a different type of build, and it's really interesting. And then Tour Guide gives you access to some 3-stars, and you can get out Alucard with this, so that's an interesting choice. Some other spell cards. There's the other field card Museum. It just puts your opponent into defense position when they attack, which is interesting, but usually not as useful as Mansion. There's a couple cards that can search from your graveyard, Dark Eruption and Recurring Nightmare, both helpful. Creature Swap to kind of give up your Ghostrick that you might not currently need. Ectoplasmer can be really interesting in this deck. Book of Moon, another interesting choice. Nobleman of Crossout, obviously with making your opponent monsters go to defense, this can be useful. Again, Shield Crust in the same kind of vein, using that to get rid of your opponent's defense position monsters. And then Ghostrick Go Around, an interesting trap card, giving you access to kind of flipping things around, which is useful. And there's some other XYZs you could use, Acid Golem is another alternative. But, it's up to you what kind of cards you want to use, obviously. There's a lot of choices for this deck. There's a lot of different tech. So if you guys have your own Ghostrick decks, definitely post below. I definitely like to take a look at them. I'm still pretty new to this archetype, so this is my current build, but I'm definitely looking to change some things around, hoping to get a bunch of suggestions from you guys. If you guys like this video, you can subscribe or hit the like button. I'd really appreciate it. If you want to see other decks from me, you can check the playlists that are in the description. One of them has a list of all the decks I've made so far. Another one has a list of all the decks I've made for this current ban list. So check those out. If you want to contact me, all my contacts are in the description. If you want to tweet me, follow me on Twitter, give me deck suggestions and talk to me and duel me and all that stuff, you can use those contacts. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.